Yo, what's up, gang? Welcome back to THATFIT podcast. I got Jasmine here. She came on a couple of weeks ago, so she's back. We're going to chop it up again and be a bit more focused on something at the moment that we're talking about. But before that, how are you doing?
Very good.
How you feeling?
Beautiful.
How you feeling after the gym session this morning?
Oh, legs a little bit cooked, eh? It was a good session.
It was, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to those guys. They had an open gym this morning called Nexus Performance Gym.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So we went down there, had a training session down there and mixed it with a couple of different exercises and machines as well, which is super cool. Changing up your environment and stuff can really help. Just create new energy and stuff like that. So, it's super cool to get down there. It's in Burleigh there somewhere. So have a look, check it out.
There's a good vibe there.
Yeah, really good vibe.
Very
Music's pumping.
like,
Very supportive vibe. Yeah, we did notice that actually. So that's super cool. But today we wanted to talk about how to get a better relationship with food. So it's super important. Well, food for one thing is probably one of the most important things we need in order to live, right? Obviously we need to breathe and shit like that, but food is so important, and how you break that down in terms of what you want to get out of it, whether you want to feel great, whether you have aesthetic goals, it's going to look different for everyone. But this main thing is that how you balance that food in terms of how much food you're consuming each day is going to dictate, one, how you look, two, how you feel, and how you go about each day in terms of feeling energized. So the first thing is that you need it, right? As humans, we need food to be energized for the day, and depending on how much food we're consuming each day is going to obviously determine our body weight at this point in time. So if we're consuming less food, then the energy they're expending, we're obviously going to lose weight, which is called a calorie deficit. And if we're consuming more food than we're expending each day, that's a calorie surplus. So we're going to gain weight, and obviously gaining weight allows us to build muscle, and losing weight is obviously allowing us to lose fat. So the main thing is that you need it, and you need to create consistency around that. So in terms of like food and stuff like that, how do you like to look at it?
Yeah, food to me, at the moment I'm just trying to view food as fuel for my training.
Yeah.
Just eat what I need to eat. Obviously still enjoy my food and stuff as well, but I do see food as a little bit of as a fuel, which is what it is essentially.
100%, it's so important, and especially for girls, you probably see it a lot, is that girls, they probably for guys as well, but the main thing is that not to be afraid of it, but understand that it drives energy and how you feel each day. So obviously consuming enough food is super important. Why do you get that a lot in terms of like girls like they're afraid of food or?
Yeah, 100%. Like the amount of people that I talk to in there, a lot of people are scared of food, and I've like been there myself and stuff as well. But carbs, everyone thinks, you can't eat bread, can't eat rice, or like can't eat pasta and stuff. It's like you can, if you learn how to work it in the right amount that you can eat to achieve your goals.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And just before we do more, this is just from our experience. This is not nutrition advice or anything like that. This is just how we go about it, how we break it down in terms of obviously consuming enough food to whatever goals that we want to hit. So the first thing is there's no good or bad food, right? Food has energy, food has calories. So there's no good or bad food, but there is food that provide more nutrients than others, which is super important, especially for health. If you want to feel healthy, you're probably going to want to tend to go towards, I guess, more nutritious food that have vitamins and minerals. Having a good base of those every day is super important. So there's no good or bad food. They just have energy, and they have a certain amount of calories, and having enough of that, provided that you're having enough vitamins and minerals, getting your micros and macros in, is super important to obviously getting to where you want to be, to obviously feel good, look good, and obviously live well. So how do you like to look at food in terms of like there's no good or bad food?
Yeah, no good or bad food. Like you say, it is just an energy source. I think obviously if you're going to eat more whole foods, less processed foods, you're going to feel a lot better.
Well, the whole foods obviously going to provide more nutrients, right?
Definitely. Yeah, you're going to get more nutrients from them. They're just going to help your body, I don't know, function a little bit better, as opposed to if you're just going to be eating like KFC.
Yeah, 100% processed foods, right?
Processed foods like chocolate all the time. Like, yeah, definitely.
There's a place for it.
Yeah, there's a place for it. I think no good or bad food. I think when you start to label food as good or bad, then that is like a start of like a not good relationship with food, because then you're going to be like, oh, I can't eat a donut, it's really bad. But actually you can, as long as it's in your fits in your calorie goal for what your goals are.
Yeah.
Because then when you do start to label food as bad food, then you get a sense of guilty for eating them, and you don't necessarily need that. Like, I know for me, every day I'll always have an ice cream or like something sweet to end the day, because I know I have a sweet tooth, and if I don't allow myself to do that by over restricting, then I'll just go, oh, I need to eat everything. So then that's a bad cycle. So it's definitely better to incorporate good and bad foods like throughout the day, and just allow yourself to eat what you do enjoy as well. Yeah,
100%. And I think people get the misconception that a lot of people that eat super healthy are like, oh man, how do you stick eating super healthy? But I would just stick to that because they still, again, like you talked about, they have the flexibility of obviously fitting in whether they like chocolate or ice cream and stuff like that. So it's more of an education thing rather than good or bad food. So with that, obviously, not labeling foods good or bad, and understanding that focusing on more whole foods, which are going to give you more nutrients, which are more beneficial for obviously health and operation of your body. Do you feel energized? So when you eat every day and day to day, do you feel energized? Do you feel like you have enough energy to perform during the day? Are you training in the morning? Do you have the ability to perform well? Are you performing well at work? That's really a good sign to know if your nutrition is heading in a good direction, because you feel energized. You feel like you can get through the day really easy without, getting to like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and like, oh, I feel like really tired and stuff like that. Normally, obviously, there's other things that affect obviously tiredness and stuff like that in terms of sleep, but a good sign in terms of knowing if you're, on track with your eating and you're feeling really good and you're focusing on really nutrient dense food, allows you to perform better. So do you feel energized every day to perform whatever you need to do each day? So how do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's very good, because obviously if you're not eating enough and you are very tired, or you don't have enough energy to do your training and stuff, like obviously if you're in a dieting phase and you are going to be a little bit less weaker and you are going to be a bit hungry, it's part of the process. But in everyday life, you want to be eating enough food so that you can get through your daily tasks and stuff. And you'll even find like when you do start eating a little bit more, you'll be moving
more energized and you'll be moving more. Which we're just talking about there before, is that people, when they start to like increase the calories that they are consuming, they start to move more, and then like, oh, I'm starting to lose weight. It's because one, your performance each day is going up, so you're moving more, you have more energy, because you're obviously starting to eat a little bit more food, which allows you to obviously perform better and just be more energized during the day. You feel like you can do more, so it's like, oh, you're just gonna spend so much more energy. So that's super important. And the next one is obviously flexibility. Do you have flexibility daily, weekly, monthly to fit in the foods that you still enjoy? Obviously, you just talked about it before, like every day you still have the flexibility to obviously, one, focus on getting enough protein and nutrients through the day, but also at the end of the day still being able to have things like ice cream and chocolate and stuff like that. So if your diet isn't flexible enough for you to still enjoy other foods, it's probably not the diet for you, or the way of eating. I wouldn't say diet, just the way of eating. If it doesn't have that flexibility, you're going to find it hard to make any meaningful change. So
I think that's true, because if you think about it, you're going to be eating for the rest of your life.
100%. Like, you're not going to stop eating one day and be like, fuck it, I'm done.
Without a doubt, you are eating for the rest of your life. It is a necessity, so make it sustainable. Like, make it part of your life and make it something that you enjoy. And make sure that it makes you feel good too.
Because how do you create flexibility? Like, if you give them a better like perspective on how you like to create a little bit of flexibility, is there certain days where you'll eat certain things, or is it just go on feel?
I guess you can go on feel. I think if you're already in kind of a place where you are struggling to be consistent with your food, and some days you're overeating way too much or undereating, then I think like going into the next point, like trying to be consistent with what you are doing as well. And then, because I forgot what I was going to say, but like each day you just need to be eating what you do enjoy. Yeah. Making it, I forgot what I was saying.
Making it fit, obviously.
Making it fit, but
100%, like flexibility is the main thing, because the thing is, it depends what kind of person you are as well, like whether you like a lot of flexibility, or if you're someone that really likes detail, like I can eat the same stuff every day. Like for me, I know this doesn't work for everyone, but for me, I just know what I'm getting. Am I getting enough protein? Am I getting enough carbs? And am I getting enough micronutrients in terms of vitamins and minerals? Once I hit those, like I'm fine. And to be honest, like I'll eat the same thing every day because I know what I'm getting. I'm going to feel good. It's obviously going to help me look good and helps me live well. I feel energized. So when you take it from a perspective of focus on just looking a certain way, or fucking feeling energized a certain way, and you take it from a perspective of all three, it's just like, okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to need to focus on protein. I'm going to have to get enough carbs in to provide energy, and obviously for health, getting enough, vegetables and fruits and stuff like that to make sure that everything's working as it needs to be.
Yeah, and I think with the flexibility as well, like if you do know you're going out for dinner so you can still enjoy yourself, like say in the day, normally I'll eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe like 2 or 3 snacks. Yeah. So then if I know I'm going to go out for dinner, I'll still eat my main meals, but maybe just take away a couple of my snacks. And so I've got that allowed extra calories for my dinner from eating out at the restaurant. Or if I want to have a couple of extra drinks, maybe, I don't know, don't eat your banana, or not that you shouldn't eat bananas, but just taking away and changing. And it's all about, I guess, learning what your body needs and what is in foods as well. Because often I'll speak a lot with my clients and they don't actually realize until they start breaking it down and learning about it. They're like, oh, I didn't actually realize, like so-and-so, like fat, peanut butter. So many people think peanut butter is protein.
Oh, really?
But but it's actually... It is protein, but it's a source of fat
as well, yeah.
So that's its main source. Like, and people just breaking down and learning what foods are in different food groups and how to get from each thing to create their own meal plan for the day as well.
Okay, so in terms of that, talking of protein, carbs and fats, like, so what does it look like in terms of like building a meal? Like, what do you focus on the most? Because for me, I'm like, okay, when I think about having a meal, I'm like, what is the protein source? Like, what protein am I having? That's the first thing I think about, because I think protein, for me, it's the most important, because I think it has a lot of obviously health benefits in terms of like gives you the enough protein to obviously build muscle and stuff like that, but it has amino acids and stuff like that, which you don't have to exactly know about. But in terms of keeping your body in really good shape, protein is the most important. So I think about what protein am I going to have, what carbs am I going to have, and then whatever like fats and stuff. I don't worry too much about fats, but the main two are protein and carbs. And carbs, obviously in carbs you can get vegetables and fruits. They're a carb source as well. So I'm still getting in fruits and vegetables whenever I can. But that, for me, that's the most important when I'm thinking about a meal. So when obviously giving value to everyone here is that, do you focus, what's your focus on when you're building a meal? Like, how do you think about it to make sure that, it's a really good meal for you?
Yeah, but I'd say the same. Just make sure it's nice and balanced. You've got your protein, carbs, and I always try and add in like veggies as well. Just like a small bit of veggies, so you make sure you're getting.
Are you a big vegetable eater? Because I'm going to be honest, like the funny thing was when I used to eat a lot of vegetables, because I was like, fuck, that's super healthy. I struggled, like I binge eat on the weekends and stuff like that because I just didn't feel great. Like I just felt like it was a way of being like, oh, I'm super healthy, and then like at the end of the week I'm so like tired, I'm like stressed, I haven't been eating enough food, and then I'm just like, fuck it, you know what, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want, which is great. It's a bad cycle. So I feel like once or twice a day of having like fruits and vegetables is enough to ensure that you have enough health.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
That's all I'll have a few berries at breakfast. Lunch, I might have a little bit of veggies, and then I don't eat heaps. I used to eat a lot of veggies as well.
It's funny,
you actually feel, I know it sounds bad, like as a health perspective, yes, you are going to get all those nutrients and stuff, but as long as you're eating a well-balanced diet, you're going to be getting enough.
Yeah.
But because I talked to you, like sometimes if I'll eat heaps more veggies, because I'm like, I need to get more in. I feel just more watery the next day.
Yeah.
Or like you feel a bit more bloated and stuff because it's got
a lot of
extra
fiber and stuff, right?
Yeah.
100%. No, that makes sense. And especially, obviously, if you're like dieting and stuff like that, eating a lot of vegetables is going to be sweet because you feel full, right? Yeah. High volume. But if you're trying to like gain weight and you're going to have to increase your calories, like having so many vegetables is obviously not going to allow you to get enough calories in. So you got to make those small changes. So, which is the next point, is that small changes are the key. Small changes lead to big changes. So say you're struggling to eat enough protein, because protein is super important in terms of building a body. Obviously, it has many other health benefits. Yeah. But the main thing is, if you're someone that is not eating enough protein and you're struggling to get enough in, just start by eating like one yogurt or a protein bar or whatever the choice is of obviously getting enough protein is. Start small. Like if you're someone that needs to eat about 40 more grams of protein a day, say, a yogurt has around 15 to 20 grams of protein. So adding one, because if you can't consistently hit 40 more grams of protein, the best start is getting closer to eating more. So the first start is obviously having one yogurt, and then you might be like, okay, I can do that now. I could add a little protein bar or something like that, or I can eat a little bit more meat or fish or eggs at whatever meal I'm having. And then you get to a point where you're hitting it, and then you start to see more changes in your body composition, and then you understand like, like I'm actually hitting protein consistently, which started from just starting to eat a little bit more protein, starting with one yogurt, and now I'm at this point where I'm consuming enough protein and I'm seeing these really good changes in my body. So start small. If you're struggling to eat so much more protein, then add a little bit more protein, and then it just builds up, and you find consistency around that, where you might start eating 1 or 2 extra meals just to get in enough protein, which makes sense. And there's nothing wrong with consistently dosing your protein throughout the day as well. There's many benefits to that.
Important too as well, because it sounds very eat your protein, but protein is so important because it's actually the other carbs and fats. Your body can't actually store excess protein. Like you need to be topping it up throughout the day for it to be doing what its job, to be building those muscles, to be just for your 100%. Body to be like generally functioning. Like your body will store the carbs and it'll store the fats, but it can't actually physically store the protein. That's why it's 100%. Important to break it up.
For sure. And if you're someone that eats a lot of processed food and you're like, I want to start eating less processed food, maybe it's not eating that whole bar, it's going staying half, putting the other half away, and then slowly, because you get to a point where it's funny, I used to do it, I'll probably eat like a whole bar or something like that, and you'll be like, and you start to feel not as good and you're just not getting the results you need to be, and then you just go half and just eat it, and then naturally in my mind it's just like I only need half, and it gets to half and it's like I don't really want it anymore. So you in like 4 to 8 weeks of a time and just slowly decreasing it, you start to get that feeling like, you know what, I don't really need it, and you just start not to eat it, you don't buy it, and then you just this accumulation over time where it gets less and less, and then your body composition changes again. You feel good because one, like you're eating less sugar, so your body's not like fucking freaking out the whole time. It's just like you're high of sugar energy and stuff like that.
The more you eat, the more you crave as well. I feel like with processed foods, the more you eat them, the more your so tasty, body craves them. Yeah,
100%. So the other thing we wanted to talk about is that you can't fail like your health and fitness journey. Like you can't fail having a better relationship with food, because the thing is, it's a daily thing. Every day you have to wake up and eat food, right? So you can't fail. So if one day you just don't have a good day at eating, you don't fail. It's just the next day you have to focus on eating again, and today you'll just make different choices. So don't put so much pressure on like, if I mess up today, like it's going to ruin the whole week. It's going to ruin my whole diet and stuff like that, because it's not a diet. It's just you have to eat every day, and how you change your eating is going to depend on what sort of goals you have for yourself, whether it's aesthetic goals, whether it's health goals. You have to consume food no matter what. So don't put so much pressure on you, because you cannot fail it. Yeah. You cannot fail your I guess, way of eating.
No. I think a good way to view it as well, because sometimes if you're not used to eating clean or you're used to eating like a lot of grab and go foods, like at the start of the week, rather than being like, oh, I'm going to nail 7 days this week, it's going to be good. That's a big task to do.
Yeah.
Just set yourself the
That's
goal.
That's a lot.
Of,
even I can't do that.
No, I can't even do that. Like, just set yourself the task of, okay, today is going to be a good day. Or like, I'm going to have 2 out of 3 meals that are going to be really good and nutrition dense.
Yeah.
And just break it up
I
into
think that's a really
goals.
good idea. It's like 2 out of the 3 and be really good. And then 3, I'm just going to give myself lenience.
Yeah.
If I have a really good meal, sweet. Like, that's perfect. We're making more progress, right? But if you're hitting 2 out of 3 every day of the week, that's a much better way. Is like, you know what, I'm going to hit 2 out of the 3 meals today, be really good. Yeah. And then if the third you eat well, and if you don't, like, you're still within the range of making progress, right? Yeah. So it's about making progress, not perfection. And that's really good is that, 100%, like 3/4 of the time. Yeah. Because that thing where you're so focused on hitting 3 and you don't hit that one, everyone tends to think like, fuck, I fucked it up. But you haven't. Whereas if you focus on really like 2 good meals, because the thing is, when you start to feel good, you're like, fuck, I want more like nutritious food. It makes you want to do it better. So for sure, it's just focusing on being, you know, making progress, not perfection.
Yeah. And I think sometimes like in moments of weakness as well, is just remind yourself, what is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? And why is it important to yourself? Like at the weekend, like rather than eating like 5 donuts, you buy a box of cookies and you're going to eat them all. You don't plan on it, but it happens. Yeah. Before you do, just be like, what is my goal? Does this align with it? Is it going to help me get towards my goal or further away? And more often than not, if I want to eat something or if I'm eating the whole box of cookies, I'll be like, wait, is this getting me closer to where I want to be? No. Okay, stop. And then just reset as well.
Yeah, 100%, which is important. Like, it's nice to have some sort of goal you're working towards in terms of your health and fitness journey. So if you have somewhere where you're trying to head, and basically you just have to create the actions that it requires you to get there. So if you're trying to lose weight, you know, you're going to focus on more nutritious food, which are obviously going to be a little bit low in calories. So just making little adjustments like that. And if you're obviously trying to build muscle, then you know, your North Star is like, I want to get to like putting on 5 kgs of weight. And then it requires you to take action in terms of increasing your carb intake and your protein intake. Maybe if, you know, you're really high in carbs and you can't consume more carbs, maybe just moving your fat up a little bit. So it's about making little changes, which is super important. And again, like, you can't fail it. It's important. You have to eat food every day. Create consistency. Do you have enough flexibility? Do you feel great every day? Do you feel energized? Are you labeling foods as good or are you labeling them as bad? There's no good or bad. There's just more nutritious food than others. And the main thing is you need it. So ensure that you're eating enough food every day to obviously feel energized, feel your best, look your best, and obviously live well. So have you got anything else you want to sort of touch on there?
We were just saying before, like, nutrition is like a game of levels.
Yeah.
And 100%. Don't get caught up in what other people are doing or, oh, they're doing this, I should do that. Yeah. Just do what you can. There's no right or wrong, I guess, in the way that you approach it. As long as you're trying to do better and like build a better relationship with your food and stuff. There's different levels of where people are at, and that's okay. Just do what you can do. And just, you can't, like we said, you can't fail. It's just trying to get better each day. Not perfection, just progress.
Yeah. Really good. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you like this, let us know down in the comments if there's any sort of things you want us to focus on, whether it's nutrition, training, or anything around it. Let us know down in the comments what some sort of stuff you'd like us to talk about. But until next time, you guys know what to do. Stay fit, stay vibing.